Church here, and welcome to the Game Grinder. Today we're going to be looking at some of the recent pickups that I've gotten. Recent in this case being about 3 or 4 months. Now I want to kind of just start out, I mentioned before that I didn't really do garage sales in the past for whatever reason. So I actually had a friend invite me to a citywide garage sale. And I gotta say, after that first day, after the first 10 minutes, I am totally hooked on garage sailing, especially when it comes to looking for old video games. The first place we stopped at had a once-in-a-lifetime find. It absolutely incredible. I'll flash a picture of it real quick. So that definitely, what do you do in the case when you have two friends finding something like that? So we ended up splitting it up the best we could. My friend was fortunate enough to get the complete in box Earthbound, but I now have a bunch of complete in box games myself. So, no complaints there. For what I paid, this is awesome. So a few of these I already had loose cartridges for, so now I got the box and manuals and whatnot. So I'll just run through these real quick. Robo Trek is the first one. Haven't played this one yet. I know about it and everything, just haven't gotten a chance to play it yet. Then we have Illusion of Gaia. This is an awesome game. Hopefully everyone's played that, or at least knows about it. And then I have a complete Super Game Boy now. Had the Super Game Boy itself, but not the box and the manual, so no complaints there. So new games to my collection. I got Lufia. This one I actually rented, this and its sequel, a few times in the past, and was never able to finish it. Thought they were pretty cool, but just hadn't had a chance to play them since then, so great to have this in my collection. I can get to it eventually. Now, I have a complete in box Lion King. If you actually played this game, it's a decent platformer, so, judge all you want, but it's a decent game. I have Mortal Kombat 2 now. It doesn't have the inner cardboard carriage or whatever, but whatever. Can't complain about that. And then I also have Operation Logic Bomb. Never heard of this game, knew nothing about it, and actually a great channel did a review on this, so I decided to hang on to this game because it looks pretty sweet. I'll get around to it eventually. And now here's going to be 3 games that so many people are going to be like, why didn't you have those games? Like, those are staples of the Super Nintendo. But anyways, I just never got around to getting them again, so I got Donkey Kong Country, Super Punch-Out, and then also Mario Kart. 3 awesome games. Just never found them cheap enough before, so I never jumped on it. So all that from one garage sale is pretty epic. Yeah, pretty much made my year. Best find I've ever had. Hopefully someday I'll get another one like that. But, I've had some good finds over the years, and the rest of the day didn't turn out the best, but, I still got some games for super cheap. This one was actually requested by some friends to keep an eye out for, and that's NBA Street Volume 2. I never actually played this, but my friends played it quite a bit. They liked it, so they said it would be a fun game that we could play on game nights. I also picked up Neo Contra, which I've never played. Haven't heard the best about it, but I figured it's a Contra game, so maybe it's semi-decent. And then I also picked up the Grand Theft Auto Director's Cut. The original was originally PC, but I actually really enjoyed these games. I played these, long before San Andreas and all those newer releases. Definitely a special kind of game. So let's move on to a couple others. There is a bunch of games that we found that I was able to trade in to get some store credit, and it's kind of funny that I found the console half of the GameCube Game Boy player, but these are pretty useless unless you actually have the disc, and I had found one of these with the GameCube and some other games and stuff and traded them in, and lucky for me at the shop they actually had the player with the disc, so I have the complete Game Boy player, which is pretty sweet. And actually I used this in my first Shantae review. Really cool little device. So a few weeks after that, I was able to get to another garage sale on my own. Definitely didn't make out as well as I did with that first one, but I did pretty good. Pretty much hit this entire city within like 4 hours. Found a bunch of other stuff, you know, turned around, sold it, kind of made my money back, but I was able to get a couple great games I didn't have before. So let's go through those real quick then. I got Super Smash Melee. Not a crazy big fan about the Smash games, but you know, why not? It's a fun game. I got nothing against it, but it's just like not my first kind of go-to game. Now these ones, not super interested in, but I've heard they're fun games, so I figured, you know, maybe at some point, if somebody wants to play co-op or something, these would be a good game, a good couple games to play through anyways, and that's going to be the Lego Star Wars 1 and 2 for the GameCube. If you don't know much about the games, it's basically those stories retold with Legos, and kind of silly games and easy to play and whatnot. Then I also picked up the Simpsons Hit and Run, which is kind of like a Crazy Taxi sort of game. I've played it a little bit, but not much. Then I also got Paper Mario, the 1,000-Year Door. I haven't played this one. I played the first, Yoshi's Island, I think, is the only one I played other than Mario RPG, and I believe this is supposed to be part of the RPG series or something. I don't know. Anyways, then I also got Monkey Ball 2. I had the first game, fun game, bunch of little mini games that you can play with friends. Then the games that I was able to turn around and sell, I ended up using that money to buy a couple other games that I didn't have for whatever reason. So I got River City Ransom for the NES. Pretty awesome game. I've never actually played it to completion, but it's a sweet game from what I've played anyways. And then also I got Maniac Mansion, which I know pretty much everything about the game, but honestly I've never had the chance to play this one either. So we'll get around to this eventually. Just for some of the history behind it, I'm really interested to see that firsthand for myself. So then, let's see, moving on here to a few random games that I got just, you know, when I went to other game shops for some trades or whatnot. I got a Fear Effect 2 for the PlayStation 1. Haven't played this yet. I've played a little bit of the first one, and figured, you know, might as well go for the whole series if they're pretty decent games. And then also got Parasite Eve 2. I loved the first game, just never had the opportunity to play the second game, so now I have that and can get to that eventually. And then I got a couple PS3 games, Dragon Crown, which I'm super excited to play, just backlogged and all that. And then also picked up Catherine, which didn't look like it was necessarily a game for me, but I've heard, you know, pretty much everybody say good things about it if you can dig the puzzle style kind of game, and I got nothing against puzzle games, so I got a good deal on that, so I decided to pick that up. So shortly after that second citywide garage sale I went to, there's a Facebook group that I belong to. It's a Minnesota Retro Gamer Society, and they decided to do like a group meetup, and basically a bunch of people went to hang out at a game shop. A lot of people brought stuff to trade, stuff to sell. There was a guy who was making repros for like a lot of Japanese games that never came to America, so I jumped on the opportunity to get a few of those. I already actually had this one before, but my copy was, I hear that the wrong RAM size was selected, so it kind of made some glitches in the game. But I got a new copy of Earthbound. Like I said, this is a reproduction. Decided to go this route because, as is, there's pretty much no way I'm ever going to be able to afford an actual copy of the game. And to spend that amount, there's actually other games I'd rather get before Earthbound, as blasphemous as some people might think that might be. But then I also got a repro of Secret of Mana 2, which, like I said, never came to America. This one is been translated to English as well, so that was something I was actually going to play not too long ago, but just decided to jump on to some other games. I also got Treasure of Rudris, which is another Squaresoft game. Pretty much sold me on the fact that it was a Squaresoft game, but funny enough, when I went up to look some videos for the game, a friend of mine goes by Artificial Raven, used to make Let's Play videos like way back. As far as I could tell, he's like one of the only few people that had videos of this online. Looked like a pretty cool game, so I'm happy I picked that one up. And then this one I've been wanting to get for quite a while. I think it was Rue from 16-Bit Gems talked about this, and that's Terranigma, which was never released in the US, but repros for the win, so I now have that. Very excited to play that eventually here anyways. So then what else did I get? Oh, I got a few NES games here, ones that a lot of these games I really say like I should have had these games by now, but I don't for whatever reason. So anyways, I got Super C, the Contra sequel for the Nintendo. I also got Friday the 13th, which a lot of people absolutely hate this game, but despite the goofy gameplay and, you know, nonsense story or whatever, this is one of the first, or not one of the first, but one of the earlier Nintendo games that I had, and nostalgia or whatever. It's not a great game, but there's some pretty cool stuff, and there's that the cabin theme in that game is awesome. So then I also picked up DuckTales, and DuckTales Friday the 13th I have the manuals for, so that's awesome. DuckTales, of course, is super awesome Capcom game. And then at that meetup as well, I decided to pick up a few non-game stuff, but definitely game-related, and I am pretty happy about this. It might not necessarily be the American versions or whatnot, but I did pick up a few game soundtracks, actually. So I got the Final Fantasy VI original sound version, and then I also got an arranged piano collection for Final Fantasy VI, and what is this? A Final Fantasy VI arranged. It's orchestral instead of the standard of the piano versions. And then I also picked up the Chrono Trigger original soundtrack and a second version of it from Chronicles, which together this is most of the game's soundtrack, but it's not everything. And those are pretty much my two favorite game soundtracks of all time. I've had them in digital form since I could first get on the internet and find them available, but it's just, you know, cool things to have in my collection. I'm not really ever gonna, you know, necessarily listen to the discs themselves, but it's not really necessary since I have the digital versions. And then I picked up a couple random little figures, and I figured, what the hell, why not? They're cheap enough. So they're these Final Fantasy Trading Arts minis, which are basically little figures of Final Fantasy main characters. You know, it's got Cloud and Renoa, and this one has like Squall and Tifa. Yeah, they're, I don't know, a little neat. They were not too expensive, so I can't really complain about that. Just trying to, I guess, add a little spice to my collection instead of it just being strictly video games. You know, I'll never really talk about them, but I got a bunch of, like, you know, game guides and a ton of magazines that, you know, it's just cool to have the extras, you know, some of the history and whatnot. So let's move on to a few other just random pickups that I got here and there. So since I got the Lufia 1, I mean, it definitely made sense to get Lufia 2 to complete that storyline anyways. Much like my last pickup video when I talked about the shame that I had for not having games like Chrono Trigger and Super Metroid, which I used to have way back when, just never managed to get them since, you know, because I had to sell up my games to move up to like the PlayStation. So I've been trying to get my favorite games back, just because, like I said before, I'm super cheap. I never pay retail or market value on games. So a lot of times, if they're more than 20-30 bucks, I just won't get it until I can find it cheaper than that. But I got to the point where I needed to get these games back in my collection, especially now because the prices are starting to go up. So like I said, Chrono Trigger is probably my favorite game for the Super Nintendo, favorite JRPG of all time. But I would actually say number one spot is pretty much tied for me, because I really can't pick which one's better. But it's either Chrono Trigger or Final Fantasy 3, which I absolutely love. Well, Final Fantasy 6, I got the Final Fantasy 3 here in America, Final Fantasy 6 in Japan. I got the Final Fantasy 6 soundtracks. Anyways, finally got it back in my collection. Super happy about it. I love this game. If you haven't played it, really play this, and Chrono Trigger, because they're absolutely amazing. Then a couple other games that I picked up, and I did a review of this one, wink wink, ActRaiser for the Super Nintendo. Really cool game. If you don't know much about it, check out my review. And then lastly, I got Aladdin for the Super Nintendo. Again, people might scoff about this one, but it's actually not a bad platformer. I didn't get this one for quite a while because I had it for the Genesis, but I figured, why the hell not? It was super cheap, so I picked that up. So then also I picked up from a coworker, sold me a few things, and I decided to keep Mario Paint, and I got the mouse with it as well. Never really messed around with this. I've watched tons and tons of people making music in the music creator or whatnot, but more of a novelty sort of thing to have in the collection. So then let's see, I had a friend, very awesome. If you know who you are, after you see this stuff, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. And he donated a few things to the collection, which I am incredibly grateful for, and it's awesome stuff to have. So he gave me a Game Boy Advance SP, Game Boy Advance SP. Haven't really messed around with it because I have the Game Boy player now, but still cool to have in the collection. And then he also gave me a Game Boy Pocket, purple. I actually grabbed my blue one, not the purple one, but he gave me a purple one. I got the blue one as well. So, I like to have the various different colors and whatnot. Same with consoles, like I have multiple colors of various consoles or re-releases and whatnot. And then he also gave me some games. So for the Game Boy, he gave me Dragon Warrior 1 and 2. Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX, which I have the standard Game Boy version of that, so it's cool to have the Game Boy Color version, actually. And then he gave me Bomberman Quest, which I haven't played yet, but I would assume it's pretty standard Bomberman, maybe not. I also got Mario Golf for Game Boy Color, and then I got Mega Man 2, which actually I didn't get that from him. I got that at the group meetup, which I actually used to have this way back in the day. So it was just kind of cool to pick that up. I didn't want to pick up any of the other ones just because of the price. And then my friend also gave me a couple advanced games. He gave me Fire Emblem, The Sacred Stones. I've never played any Fire Emblem, always heard really good things about it. I actually have another one that I'd mentioned before that I got for the Wii. And then lastly, he gave me Mario vs. Donkey Kong for the Game Boy Advance. And let's see, not lastly. Oh, and then he also gave me the Advance GameCube connector, which is cool because I've actually never seen that in the shop or any times I went game hunting. And lastly, as far as game pickups go, as you saw in one of my last review? No, 2 reviews ago. My Shantae review, I actually bought a reproduction copy of the game. I imported this from the UK. Guy gave a really good price with the game, comes with the manual and the box. The game itself uses a original Game Boy cartridge instead of the Game Boy Color cartridge, and it looks kind of weird because it's, I don't know, it's really heavy, and when you look in the bottom it's not sealed, and I'd imagine this was because I had to get like the special board or whatever, because it required kind of a special board for the game. So anyways, then I picked up a few random console related things. So let's just reach over here. So I got a orange GameCube controller to add to the variety of colors that I have. And also with the PlayStation 2, I got a teal translucent controller. I got a translucent blue, and also got a silver controller, so it's always fun to have the variety. I don't know, I just like collecting stupid stuff like that. Also, I picked up a Model 2 Super Nintendo. Never had this when I was younger, but I still have my original Super Nintendo. But yeah, just, you know, cool to add a little variety to the collection, just for the hell of it. And then I guess lastly here is going to be the complete in box Super Scope 6. Pretty novel, you know, really not the best peripheral ever. I mean, it looks badass, that's for sure. And some of the games are okay, but it's something I've always wanted to have. I never had it. Wasn't even able to play it when I was younger. Just didn't know anybody that had that. Yeah, so I gotta say, for the garage sale season, this was a pretty awesome start. You know, I said this is about 2 months worth of pickups and whatnot, and so the summer is usually a little bit busier when, you know, people are selling stuff online, garage sales, even though I didn't go to them before. But yeah, I mean, this is sweet. So I'll be doing another pickup video, obviously, probably, you know, in a month and a half or so, depending on how working on the reviews go. Also would like to mention a big thank you to Danger9. He actually did the song covers that you're listening to right now. I started talking to him on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook a little bit, and he offered to do some 8-bit demakes for songs for me, because I didn't want to use necessarily copyrighted materials in non-review, you know, form. So yeah, that's super awesome. Thank you very much for doing that. So yeah, that's about it for this video. I'd love to know what sort of stuff everybody else is finding. You know, let me know in the comments below. Facebook, Twitter, all that fun stuff. And as per usual, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Game Grinder.